There we go. Um, as always, we are going to be talking about mental health, and this week we're talking about how your physical health affects your mental health, and vice versa. Because I have learned recently that there is a lot of ways that we can affect our mental health um, rather than just feeling like we're at the mercy of our emotions. We can make lifestyle choices and changes that can improve our mood, improve our ability to feel happiness, reduce our irritability, reduce our um, depression symptoms. So I think that this Wellness Wednesday is going to feel very, very empowering because there's just a lot of things that I didn't know about how we can um, affect and change our mental health through our physical health. So I'm really excited about this one because I'm really hoping that you guys feel like the power is back in our hands and we do have um, some sway over our emotions instead of just feeling like our emotions control us. Um, and I am going to be talking about three main areas. One, your gut health and your digestion affects your mental health. Also, sleep and exercise. So those are the three main ways that we can support our mental health in regards to our physical health. So what I was surprised to learn. Also, please confirm on Facebook if you guys can hear me. I was having a few hiccups with my microphone, so I just want to make sure that the audio is indeed working. So, one of you guys can just let me know if we're good or not. But I'm hoping I rectified the issue and that you're able to hear me. Um, so, anyway, there is a connection to our gut or our digestive system, and it's called the gut brain axis, which I hadn't heard of, but it's describing the way that our brain directly affects our digestion and vice versa. Like our digestive system directly affects our brain chemistry. Um, and it's bidirectional, which means um, basically what I just said, how the brain affects the digestive system and the digestive system has power over the brain. Um, so, quick little lesson here. I'm not a doctor. I'm also not a therapist. I am just someone who cares a lot about mental health because I deal with it on a regular basis. So, there's a branch of the nervous system called the enteric nervous system, and it's sometimes called the second brain. It has millions and millions of neurons, and we know neurons are the transmitters that relay messages from the brain throughout the rest of the body. So the enteric nervous system is really important because it's the direct line from the brain to the stomach, the digestive system. It has 500 million neurons, and it produces 90% of our serotonin. Um, Now, hopefully, you've heard of serotonin before, but serotonin is the um, neurotransmitter or the chemical in the brain that is responsible for happiness. It's what is released when we feel pleasure and well being. So, serotonin is basically what most antidepressant medications are made from. They're made to affect our serotonin. So, serotonin is what makes us feel happy. And it's really, really important as far as mental health. Most mental health disorders have some um, imbalance or reduction in serotonin levels. So serotonin is kind of or lack thereof, is kind of the reason behind a lot of the mental illness that we see today. So 90%, 90 to 95% of our serotonin is made in the digestive system, not in the brain. So that was mind blowing to me because I'm just like, okay, so that means that as long as we take better care of our digestive system, we have the power to have positive influence over our mental health. Um, Also, the enteric nervous system, which um, transfers the information from the digestive system to the brain. It also is responsible for producing a lot of dopamine, which is another neurotransmitter, another brain chemical that helps us feel happiness. So the digestive system is responsible for producing high levels of the two neurotransmitters that help us feel happy. So that means that our digestive system is very, very important in regards to our mental health. Um, so we know within our gut or our digestive system, there are good bacteria and there are bad bacteria. Like when you get an infection, you take antibiotics. The reason why they tell you to eat yogurt is because antibiotics kill all the bacteria in you, whether it's good or bad. And our body needs the good bacteria to help us digest things and break down things and get nutrients from stuff. So, good bacteria gives us positive mood. Bad bacteria gives us negative mood. That's a simplified way of saying it. There are a whole lot of reasons and processes as to why that is, but I read a whole bunch of articles from harvard.edu, so I know it's legit. So just trust me that we want more of the good bacteria and less of the bad bacteria. But the standard American diet is just packed full of foods and substances that feed bad bacteria. Um, so, for example, a lot of the refined sugars, the processed foods, the white breads, the processed meat, the almost all fast food um, is not helping us because all that refined and processed food feeds the bad bacteria that harm our system and that send the wrong type of fuel to the brain. So let's make an analogy. If you think of your brain like a car, um, the digestive system is really important because our brain is always working. Our brain is always on, even when we're sleeping. So it needs a constant supply of fuel. And if you put water in your car, it's not going to work at its optimal level because it wasn't designed to run on water. It was designed to run on gas. So our brain is the same way. When we're filling our bodies with refined sugars and processed foods, our brain is running on water instead of running on gas. It is designed to function on high fiber, plant based foods like fruits and vegetables and organic foods, nuts and beans. Um, so when we are eating a lot of fast food or a lot of refined and processed food, we are doing no favors for our digestive system, which then in turn negatively affects our brain chemistry. So it's really, really important to keep in mind that the things that we eat do have a direct impact on our mood. And whatever people told me that, I just thought that they were saying, oh, like if you eat healthy, then you'll think that you're a better person because you're like making wise choices. But it's much, much deeper than that. It's actually at the chemical physiological level. Um, your digestive system can produce more serotonin, more dopamine, and improve your mood. So even without really trying to force yourself to feel better, if you eat better, you can still be doing something positive as far as your mental health and your brain chemistry and your neurotransmitter levels. So that is super, super empowering. Just by changing your diet, you can make a huge leap towards healing your mental health. So that is really, really encouraging. Also, um, there's a correlation between mental illness and gut disease, like having Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis and things like that, because the bidirectional, um, I guess, transmission or communication between your brain and your digestive system. If you're more stressed out, you're more likely to have inflammation. And the reverse is also true. If you have inflammation from eating not the best foods, it affects your brain and can lead to increased depression. So that's another reason why it's important for us to really be looking at our diet and how it relates to our mental health. So we've all heard of the fight or flight response, right? So when we are stressed out, our body goes into response as if we were facing an actual physical fear. Like the fight or flight response is not negative in and of itself. The fight or flight response is when your body understands that there's some type of danger. So your body is made to kind of go into this state where you would be able to have adrenaline and defend yourself, or where you could run at a faster pace. But in order to do that, your body kind of has to shut down some other areas of your body in order to heighten the areas that are needed for the fight or flight response. So, because of stress that is prolonged, like stress that has become anxiety, it impacts your immune system and impacts your digestive system, which then affects your mood. So it's all connected. Um, and if our physical health is impacted because of um, chronic stress, then that in turn, on a physiological level, will affect your brain because you may not be producing as much serotonin. Um, the negative bacteria in your digestive system will be transmitted as not the best fuel for your brain. So, stress and anxiety have effects on our physical health. Just thinking about when you're panicking, your heart rate goes up, you can feel nauseous, you can feel fatigued, you can have shortness of breath, you can have diarrhea. So your physical health and your mental health are intrinsically connected. Um, Stress also slows down the digestive process. So that's why we can sometimes get bloating as a result of stress. So it's important to remember that the more that we change our diet, the more we change our mental health. Um, and not only that, but there's also other ways to increase our levels of serotonin, the happy chemical. And one of those is light. Um, because not only is light positive because you get more vitamin D, which also affects your mood in a huge way. Vitamin D is very important as far as mood. That's why people get seasonal affective disorder because there's a lack of vitamin D. So vitamin D is really important, but not just vitamin D. Also, just being around light helps with your sleep cycle because sleep is also really important as far as your mental health. So, as much as possible, getting outside. I don't like outside. I hate bugs, and I'm just not an outside person. But every day I come out and I open my windows and I let all the natural light in. Um, and even if you have artificial lights on, it's not the same. Even on a cloudy day, the light outside is 20 times more than artificial light inside. And on a sunny day, the light outside can get up to 500 times brighter than the light inside. So, as much as possible, even if you're not really able to get outside, which is ideal, at least open your windows because getting that light is really, really um, good at bolstering your mental health. So try and get as much natural light as possible. Exercise. Exercise is very positive as far as your mental health because it releases endorphins, which are brain chemicals that make us feel better. But it also helps with your serotonin again. So you can naturally increase your serotonin levels by exercising, which is awesome because um, these are ways that we have control over feeling better. Those of us who have mental illness, we're always feeling like we don't have a choice, like we don't know when or if it will get better. And these are things that are within our control that can have really impactful, positive effects on our mental health. So make sure you're getting outside, getting light, make sure you're exercising because it increases your endorphins and your serotonin. And also, after you exercise, your body enters a relaxed state and it uses more tryptophan. You may have heard of tryptophan. It's also called the itis, like how we get tired and relaxed after eating a big meal. But tryptophan is very important because that is what your body uses to make serotonin. And again, serotonin is the happiness neurotransmitter. So we always, always, always want more serotonin the natural way. So exercising helps you produce more serotonin. It helps you um, have more usable tryptophan, which then becomes serotonin. And exercise also helps you feel tired enough to have a regular sleep pattern. And that's the next thing I want to talk about. Sleep decreases mood swings, it decreases tiredness and fatigue, it decreases anger, it decreases irritability. Um, so when you get enough sleep, you have much more control over your mood. Lack of sleep is associated with mood swings. Um, Also, people with insomnia or lack of sleep are 5 times more likely to have depression. And people with insomnia are 20 times more likely to have panic disorders. Um, so that's showing that sleep directly, um, or lack of sleep, makes us more susceptible to mood disorders and difficulties. So it is really, really important to get a significant and healthy amount of sleep. So, um, oh, I also wanted to mention that the fight or flight response increases cortisol. So serotonin is the good neurotransmitter that helps us feel happy, right? And we talked about how changing your diet, getting enough sleep, getting enough sunlight, and getting exercise can naturally increase your serotonin levels and make you happy. But kind of the enemy is cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone, and the more that we engage in stress, the more that we have more trouble sleeping, the more we have negative effects on our digestive system, which then affects our mental system and our mental health. So, as much as possible, we want to lower cortisol and raise serotonin. I know I'm saying a lot of like medical words, but just know cortisol is bad. Cortisol is stress. Serotonin is good. Serotonin is happy. And cortisol isn't all bad because it's necessary. Like everybody needs some cortisol because cortisol helps wake us up in the morning and helps us be productive and things like that. But a lot of us have high levels of cortisol, which is why we experience the negative aspects of stress because cortisol is part of that panicking. It has negative effects as far as your cardiovascular system. People with anxiety are much more likely to suffer from high blood pressure and things like that. So as much as possible, we want less cortisol and more serotonin. So now that we've talked about why these things are important, like how our digestive system um, produces a lot of serotonin and dopamine and it affects our mental health. Also, how exercise and sleep affect our mental health. I want to give some tips that I learned about how we can influence these things. So we know they're important, but what are some practical steps in order to improve my diet, improve um, my exercise regimen, and improve my ability to get enough sleep? So as far as your digestive health, we want to eat foods high in fiber, which is like whole grains, white meat, fish. Fish is awesome because fish has a lot of omega 3s, which have been shown to support mental health as well. Eating yogurt, almonds, and walnuts, definitely, obviously, fruits and vegetables. And beans and lentils. So we want to eat foods like that. So as much as possible, a plant-based diet. So fruits and vegetables, fish, and nuts, but not all nuts. Peanuts have a compound in them that aren't super good for us, which is why a lot of people have an allergy to peanuts. But for the most part, if you stick to organic foods, um, you're doing a good job. And thankfully, most stores do have organic options. Aldi has an organic brand called Simply Nature. Kroger has an organic brand called Simple Truth. Publix has an organic brand called Greenwise. So all of these stores automatically have organic brands. So whenever you're shopping, there'll usually be an organic brand, an organic version of whatever it is that you're getting. Um, and it may be a couple dollars more, but it's worth it, because I can attest to the fact that I've gone organic, and I'm in the process of transitioning to being a full vegetarian, which you don't have to do. But I can honestly say that the healthier that I eat, the better I feel. And it's not just a mind thing of like, oh, I'm making healthy choices, but physiologically, you just feel better, because eating healthy increases your serotonin and dopamine, and it positively affects your mental health. So make sure that as much as possible, you're staying away from fast food, staying away from refined sugar, from processed food. Um, I love Little Debbie's, but Little Debbie's probably has to take a back seat. So as much as possible, trying to eat organic and trying to eat whole foods. As far as exercising, um, it's not necessarily about just going and getting a gym membership or about buying a whole bunch of fitness equipment, because a lot of times those things make you feel more guilty, if anything. Um, as far as exercising, find something that actually works for you, something that is reasonable. So for me, most of you know that I dance on TikTok now. And that's something that's worked for me. People always told me to exercise, and it never works because I don't like just exercising for exercising. For me, it has to be fun. It has to be motivating, and it has to be like exciting. So the reason that I've been consistent ever since I started um, doing dance challenges on TikTok is because there's always something new. So it's exciting because there's a new challenge out, there's something new to try. So that's why it works for me, because it's exciting. Um, but please don't feel like you need to do something strenuous or painful. You don't have to go and lift 500 pounds in order to be considered exercising. Just walking outside, especially, because then you're getting the sunlight and you're also getting some exercise. Or if you like running, if you like gardening, um, or if you just like dancing, you can just always look up random dance videos on YouTube and dance along to them. Whatever works for you. That's what's important about exercising. Not just trying to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and make yourself do something that you loathe, but finding a form of exercise that you actually enjoy so that you'll be motivated to continue it for a long term. Um, so that's what I want to say about exercise. Just find something that you realistically and practically can do and can hold on to. Sleep is really important to get a lot of light during the day, because that helps your brain know um, which chemicals to produce. You produce more serotonin when you have more light. And then at night, your brain switches and makes melatonin. But if you have too much darkness during the day or too much light at night, it messes with the cycle. So it's basically like when you wake up in the morning and throughout the day you produce serotonin. Then at night, when it gets darker, you produce more melatonin, and that's what helps you sleep. But if your brain is kind of confused because it's still dark during the daytime, you're not getting a whole lot of natural light, or if you're watching a lot of TV or scrolling on your phone at night, then you're getting too much light and you may not be producing enough melatonin. So it's a delicate balance, your sleep-wake cycle. It's important to be consistent. As much as possible, get as much natural light during the day as you can. And then when it is time for you to go to bed, I have a blue light filter on my phone. So make sure that most phones come with it now. So if you don't have a blue light filter already on your phone, make sure that you get an app. There are a bunch of apps for blue light filters. But make sure that it's set to um, dim your screen, especially I have mindset that it just dims my screen as soon as the sun sets, because you want to make sure, not just right when you're going to bed, but in the few hours before you're getting ready to go to bed, that your blue light on your screen is dimmed, so that it's not telling your brain that it's still time to be up, but that your brain can start transitioning. Okay, it's getting darker outside, my screen is getting darker, it's getting time to go to bed, and you can hopefully start producing more melatonin to get ready for sleep. Um, Another thing that's really important as far as your sleep wake cycle is to be consistent. I know that with this change in everything, we feel like maybe we can be more flexible as far as when we go to bed and when we wake up. But it's important to impose a schedule on yourself. You still need to have a consistent sleeping and waking time because your circadian rhythm and your sleep and waking cycle needs to have consistency so your body can get into that rhythm of, okay, now I need to go to sleep, now I need to wake up. If you're changing your sleep wake cycle every single day, your body has no idea when it needs to go to sleep and when it needs to wake up. So you have to be consistent, even though you may not have as much motivation to wake up. Hi, friends. So you may not have a forced schedule, but you can make your own schedule that works for you as far as when you go to bed and when you wake up, because your body needs that consistency in order to help you be able to fall asleep and feel tired when it is time to go to sleep. Um, and sleep in darkness as much as possible. Don't have the TV still on. Um, don't sleep with a whole lot of light coming through your window. If you need to, getting a sleep mask is awesome because the darker the better. The darker, the more melatonin you'll be producing, which will help you sleep. Um, and avoiding caffeine. Caffeine can actually increase your levels of stress. So it's important to not consume a whole lot of caffeine, and especially not consuming a whole lot of caffeine near your sleep time, because that can impact your ability to fall and stay asleep. Um, so those are the three areas that we can make changes to positively impact our mental health. So just to kind of recap, your digestive system directly affects your mental health. So make sure that you're eating whole foods, plant-based diet, eating more fruits and vegetables, eating more organic things. Exercise, find something that works for you. Um, don't feel like you need to do all these like super sketch, super crazy workout regimens. Even if when you're watching TV and a commercial comes on, you spend the commercial break doing some squats or some push-ups, or if you just dance around your house. I do that all the time. I'll just turn on music and dance around because nobody can see me, and it's okay. Or you could be like me and start doing TikTok dance challenges, and I'd love to duet with you. That would be fun. Or you can just go walking. It doesn't have to be super intense as long as you're doing some type of physical movement for 30 minutes a day. And then making sure at bedtime, you actually do go to sleep on a consistent basis. And if you must like fudge the lines, um, try not to um, have a discrepancy in your schedule more than 1 to 2 hours away from the time you usually go to bed. So if you do need to stay up later, try to limit it to only an hour or two later so that your body can still stay in that sleep wake rhythm. And that is it. I just wanted to share with you guys some of the things that I've been learning about um, how we can increase our serotonin or happy drug levels naturally instead of feeling like our only choice is to take a bunch of medications that have negative side effects. Um, Not that medications are bad. I take medications to help me sleep and to help my mood, but I at least for myself, ideally, I don't want to be on medication forever. I would like to get to a point where I've learned enough coping strategies and enough healthy habits to be able to manage my mental health naturally. And even if we do stay on medication, which is fine, we always want to support our mental health as much as possible. So, in conjunction with getting therapy and using other coping strategies, um, and taking medication, we can also boost our mental health by making these positive changes of being careful about what we eat, when we sleep, and getting a little bit more exercise. So that is it, guys. I am so glad that we were able to have this Wellness Wednesday together. Please share this. I always post them. And I want you guys to be able to share this with your friends because So many people struggle from mental illness, and a lot of times people may not feel empowered or comfortable enough to express that they do have it. So I'm really hoping that these videos will be able to minister to people and to help people who may not be outspoken about their mental illness, but they do have it, because mental illness is so prevalent. At least 1 in 13 people has it. So please, please share these videos, because there's someone that you know who may need the information in it and can hopefully benefit from it. So I love you guys so much. Um, I usually have a Bible verse, but this one was kind of different, I guess. But just know that Jesus loves you, and I am praying for you. And come back next Wednesday at 6 for another Wellness Wednesday. Bye, friends.